energy or produce ADP, because the food you actually eat, its molecular structure is not going to do anything for the body. So what the body does is take it apart down to its component pieces and then reconfigure it into a usable form that can be used for structure and functions within the body. And that's what I primarily want to deal with today. And we're looking at a process that actually starts in the mouth with some nutrients, continues in the stomach, and the majority of digestion is actually taking place in the small intestine. There is a little bit of digestion in the large intestine, but really when you think of the large intestine, other than a few incidental things it does, it's primarily responsible for the absorption of water. Anyway, when you're looking at digestion, and then after we've taken care of digestion, we'll move on to metabolism. In other words, how the body breaks things down into usable form. But first of all, looking at the different types of digestion that we have. When you look at a term, as far as digestion is concerned, basically when we talk about digestion, we're talking about something that is occurring in the digestive tract. Not in your body cells, not in the blood, not in the liver, but literally breaking food down. So it's a process by which food is broken down, and what we're looking at is carbohydrates, and fats, both mechanically and chemically. And you probably were introduced to the mechanical types of activities the stomach has and the intestine have, i.e. peristalsis. But also we have chemical digestion, where all those digestive juices, all those enzymes and such, what they're actually doing to food, to break it down into tiny little pieces that can actually get absorbed into the blood supply, where distribution and finally into the cells, and then finally metabolism is going to take place. So we're looking at mechanical and chemical digestion within the digestive tract. And basically what it is doing is breaking down everything you put into your mouth into a form that can actually pass through the lining of the intestine and find its way into the blood. You're probably very aware of the types of food that this is not going to happen. For example, fiber. Fiber is just too tough. It's just too complex for the digestive processes in the body to break down. So fiber that enters your mouth is going to pass out the other end. Not that it's not important, because fiber helps maintain the regularity of this whole system. Without fiber in your diet, you're probably going to have very sluggish peristalsis. And it certainly is an absolute necessity. But not everything we take in does get absorbed, and the purpose for it not getting absorbed. Notwithstanding that some stuff that we do want to get absorbed doesn't get absorbed for various reasons. There are a number of pathological conditions that impede absorption. Now, as far as looking at mechanical digestion, there's really four general or major processes. We could add a fifth one. But when we're talking about the physical breakdown of food into tiny particles, basically this is what we mean by mechanical digestion. The mixing of food particles with digestive enzymes. We have this process referred to as segmentation. And it's very much like peristalsis with one discrete difference. In peristalsis, food is pushed through the tract, whereas in segmentation, it stays put. And it's literally kneaded and mushed, and everything's sort of mixed together. So the same muscles are actually working. You just don't have the propulsive muscles moving it down. I put after that peristalsis, or the third one, peristalsis, is a wave-like rhythmic movement that actually moves things from the mouth all the way through the digestive tract. On the other hand, as I mentioned, segmentation is literally kneading food, pushing it, mixing it together, ensuring all the digestive juices and all the enzymes are mixed thoroughly throughout the whole food mass so that digestion can take place. Deglutition is the act of swallowing. We don't use it a lot. It's a term you should be familiar with. When somebody is glute, they're actually swallowing, but we say to swallow. And lastly, term we use to remove the waste products in the form of stool or feces. But all of this is mechanical, and it's taking place because of the contraction and organized contraction of the smooth muscle within, actually from the esophagus, stomach, and the small and large intestine, until eventually get down to the sigmoid colon and the rectal region. We do have valves throughout the system to stop things from going quite so fast. Sometimes those valves dysfunction and it can cause obstruction. But it's a very controlled process. The elimination of digestive waste, as I mentioned, is defecation. And all this comes under that general heading of mechanical digestion. The other component, which we're going to talk at a little bit more length, is chemical digestion. And basically this is the adding of chemicals to the food mass. And these chemicals are taking the large lumps of protein and the complex sugars and the large lumps of fat that have been chewed to a certain degree by the teeth, but not sufficiently for absorption. This is where the chemicals get into the process and break it down, or break the product down into tiny, what they refer to as monomers, or absorbable component parts. Basically, chemical digestion takes place through the process of hydrolysis. They add water, and the water breaks the chemical bonds, holding the complex molecules together and making them into less complex until they become very simple. And you'll see this particularly when we talk about the chemical digestion of carbohydrates. Because there's no way a large piece of anything is going to get absorbed through the lining of the intestinal tract. It has to be extremely tiny. So this is basically what we're talking about when